Hello, everybody. I'm pretty much going to make this short and sweet. It's something to think about. I've listened to controversy left and right. I've listened to the difference that people have on opinions. Um, to be honest with you, I'm going to quote four letters WWJD. For those who have no clue what that means, is what would Jesus do? Now then, people are talking about the different acts of violence that is happening. People are blaming gun control. People are blaming this. People are blaming that. It comes down to think think back. There's been multiple school shootings all the way back to Casey Barnhall and Rachel Scott and Columbine. I'm going to be honest with you. I put out a petition on that. I requested for gun control back then, and I was barely out of my teenage years at that point. I was looking at it. I actually sent our congressman letters. I went through all that, but not because of the gun control as much as it was for the fact that things happen. Go back to the Bush administration, the Clinton administration, the second Bush administration, the Obama administration. There has always been some sort of violence, some sort of controversy to that. There's been there's been conflicts of religion. There's been conflicts of many different types of nature. Gun control, yeah, could be a problem because people have too much access to firearms. That's the problem. The problem is not the firearms itself, it is the ability for the wrong people to get their hands on them. Yeah, matter of speaking, there should be a form of gun control, but to say take hunters' rights from them to go that step, I don't see that necessary. What I do see is what a lot of people don't see. Apparently, you got kids having access to weapons. Those are the people who should not have access to weapons. Those are the people that should not be able to get their hands on a firearm, more or less take it to school and shoot their classmates. Okay. I said it a couple of times on a few different posts that proper parenting makes a big difference. I've said it on my live streams. Proper parenting makes a lot of difference. Now then, I can go through the biblical side of point of view. Everything that we're seeing now is actually quoted in Revelation. But I'm going to take that a step further. You feed an animal too much and they're going to learn that that food is available. If you hand a kid the keys to your gun cabinet without them knowing how to properly handle a firearm, yeah, that could be a problem. If you sit there and don't teach your kids properly, then they will turn around and they will betray you. That's just common knowledge. When we grew up, when we was raised, our parents kept an eye on us. No, not yet. Garrett texted to me. Um, but if you have the issue of not knowing where to go through next, then the issue is simple. I like to toss curveballs. Anybody who knows me knows that. all the way through life, there was controversy of, is guns actually a problem? Guns don't kill people. I've I've heard controversy on that people were cleaning their guns and they went off and shot themselves and killed themselves. So they dropped their gun and it fired and it killed them. Accidents do happen. Stuff like that will happen. But the triggers didn't pull themselves in these school shootings. The triggers didn't pull themselves in church shootings. The triggers don't pull themselves in military conflicts. The trigger is not a problem. If that's the case, then I'm going to go with no quote. I'm going to start blaming my pencil every time I misspell a word. Maybe people should blame the buffet for. I'll check here in a minute, Garrett. I'm live streaming at the moment. People should blame the spoon for getting them fat. It ain't got nothing to do with the food. It's all about that spoon. It's all about, I don't know how to push the table away from my body. That's the issue. The triggers don't pull themselves. The spoons don't lift themselves up and shove themselves in your mouth. Your pencil is not going to misspell your words for you. If you've got the magic pencil that can write for you, I want a copy of that, because that would be awesome. Tide Pods don't shove themselves in teenagers' mouths. They just happen to happen that way. They have to actually put them in their mouth. Okay. If you look at everything that we are going through today, we've been going through it for years. Awesome. That's awesome, Laura. They need to do that in all the school districts, to be honest with you. That would cut down on a lot of the violence. A lot of the big rich schools already have metal detectors. It's time that the government shells out that money out of their pocketbooks and put metal detectors in all the school districts. That would be a start. I've seen posts, people saying that they should put veterans in schools as security guards. I'm not too keen on that idea, because we got trained killers, a lot of them that's already been in military and stuff like that can immediately go into flashbacks, and next thing you know, your kids get their shit blown away by some military guy who had a hair up his ass one day, or was going through a flashback. There's too many different cultures in these school districts that could cause a problem. I like the idea, but I think it's a crazy idea. Metal detectors, it's the walkthrough type. That's better than just a wand type, because you can easily get past a wand. The full body scan, not as easy to get through. Then they have to get the proper security guards to be in there. Rent-a-cops would be a good start. Off-duty police officers, on-duty police officers. Our public school up here in Earl actually has police officers that run it. They only have one sheriff patrolling during school hours around here. They might want to up the number of police officers. I'm not sure on how big the city is that you live in, but during school hours, they do need to have a little bit more patrol around the school districts. That would also be a starting point. Like I said, our school, we actually have police officers that actually monitor the halls of our schools. They have the wand detectors, which our school is actually about to get the walkthroughs. So, I mean, some of the smaller country schools are actually taking higher stand than a lot of the upper class schools, like the ones that's actually been shot at lately. Um, the school that's in Jonesboro, Arkansas, that was shot by the teenagers. I did mention that in I think Greta's post. They have actually put security in after the case of that happening. Um, Columbine up their security. My issue is after the Columbine shooting, they should have actually put in more security at that point in all the schools. That would have stopped this today. I'm tired of people blaming our current president. I'm sorry to inform people, but there was actually school shootings during the Obama administration too, during his 8 years. There was also shootings during the Bush era. There was also, I mentioned Columbine during the Clinton. Um, you can't sit there and say that it's one person's fault or the other. I'm fairly sure Donald Trump ain't out putting guns in teenagers' hands, telling them, "Hey, go shoot people." Um, I'm not a I'm not a huge fan of politics whatsoever. That's the reason I usually don't touch base on them. But when I'm sitting there reading this, that people want to blame other people for things, um, there's a limit to everything. Yeah, I've got some issues with Donald Trump, as everybody else does. I also see a lot of things that he's done in the 1 year that he has been in the office that has made changes. I am okay with change. I like change. I don't like the idea that his board is being made fun of over Christian beliefs. I'm a Christian myself. I don't try to hide it, nor will I ever. Um, like I said, I started this off with 4 simple letters: WWJD. What would Jesus do? Um, there's so much controversy out here. I don't like to, like I said, get into politicals, but as I said, the title of this here is something to think about. Think about this. Will gun control actually stop people from getting a hold of guns? Or would it just make them want them more? If you take away the chocolate bars out of the grocery stores for 2 months and then all of a sudden chocolate bars pop back up in the grocery stores, there's going to be a line 10 miles long of people going to the stores to buy a chocolate bar. Okay. If they take beer off the market, there's going to be alcoholics out there fighting for that last can. You take guns off the market, there's going to just be more people in the black market selling guns. They tried taking marijuana off of the market, and now it's legal in almost every state. So I'm just proving a point that just because it sounds good doesn't mean it is good. Back to the chocolate bars. I'm not a big candy bar fan myself, but if I went to the store and wanted one and they didn't have none, they said, we ain't going to have none for 3 months. 3 months later, I'm going to go in there looking for one. Or if they decide to, I'm going to bring something up. How many of y'all like the McRib sandwich that they have at McDonald's? They only have one month out of the year. That 1 month out of the year, how many people are in there with their hands up ready for it? I agree, Crystal. There's always been violence in schools. Yep. Inner city schools, yeah, but we're talking about the smaller schools, and I love that. Gun control will not stop killing. Very good. And there is bombs and other ways to kill people. So, like I said, gun control is not the problem. It is far from the problem. The problem goes back to parenting. The U.S. government has put so strict regulations on parents that parents can't be parents no more. I recall if I got in trouble, I got my ass tore up. I know what it feels like to be grounded. I know what the word no means. Too many people do not know that. Different cultures, different regulations. I recall the street light being my clock to say time to go inside. I recall 8 o'clock being supper time and 9 o'clock being bath time. 10 o'clock is bedtime. And before I could go outside to play with my friends, I had to have my school homework done. And if I got in trouble in school, I got a paddling. I got suspended, and it wasn't this go home, take a 3-day vacation. They had this thing called in-school suspension. That way them teachers can punish you even more after school. They're going to punish you more because they wanted to go home. Anyways, we got a bad storm. I've been on for a little bit, 16 minutes. Anyhow, guys, that's something to think about. Gun control is a big issue for those who think it is. But for us who knows the reality of things, gun control is not the issue. It comes down to having access to the weapon. If you leave your guns out in reach of a child, that child is going to say, "Ooh, look, a new toy. I'm going to take it to school and show it to my friends." Or, well, I like playing video games and stuff like that, but I'm also 38 years old, and I know the difference between fun games and reality. You got an 8-year-old out there playing Black Ops and learning how to kill people, and oh, cool. Oh, Daddy's got the real thing. I'm going to take it to school and I'm going to shoot my friends with it. They'll just drink a healing potion and they'll be fine, or they'll resurrect and go back to the line of duty. Kids today don't know the value of life. And that's sad because it comes down to the teachers not teaching them correctly. It comes down to the parents not teaching their kids correctly. If that was the case, by the time I was in kindergarten, I knew what the value of life was. Not only the value of my own, but the value of others. By the time I got out of high school, I knew still the value of life. Maybe it's time to go back to old school ways. Maybe it's time that we train our future the same way that we were trained. That's all I got, guys. Hope this is something that y'all will consider, something that y'all will think about. I'm looking forward to reading the comments, because once this goes viral, I'm probably going to get quite a few comments. Some nice and some not so nice. Welcome to the world of controversy. Anyways, y'all have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And if y'all are in these storms, stay dry. All right, guys. Good night.